Well, with me, I'm over 50, so I said, make this ground smooth so I don't trip over these rocks. And then when, when the bullet came at me, I was the first time, I just ducked. I'm not gonna lie.
Ms. Davis, there's a very powerful scene where Nanisca is pointing out the scars that she has, and how they're almost an emotional reminder of the journey she took to get to that point. I'm just curious if you gave stories to the presence of those scars and what they might have meant to her getting up to that point.
I think the scars were a badge of honor because it showed that she lived a life and she survived. Yeah. And I think that a lot of people feel like you're not your scars. I believe that you are your scars. I do. And not just the scars on her body, the scars that were even inside her from being a rape survivor. And that's one of the things that I wanted to pass on to Nawi in that moment, is that your scars are your pride. They're your badge, they're your sword. You use them as warrior fuel. And I think that's a great message for women today, because I think sometimes we want it so easy, we don't want the scars. But I think that by the time, I say God, takes me from this earth, I want a lot of battle scars. That means that I fought, and I fought to win, and I was brave enough to fight.
And I think with Nawi in that moment, she thinks the scars are cool, but doesn't fully comprehend the pain or what it means to have actual scars. Mm-hmm. And that's women today or people today, where it's like, yeah, I am this, I've achieved this, but they don't actually fully comprehend what it takes to be that which they aspire to be.
Exactly.
And that you have to kind of go through it to be that.
Yes.
To be a Nanisca.
Absolutely.
There are battles to be fought.
I got scared to death that we were not going to be able to come back. Omicron hit us 3 weeks into shooting and hit us hard. And I just didn't know, did we shoot enough where the studio would say, well, we have to come back? Or was it not enough where they said, let's just cut our losses? I did not know. Would the actors come back? There was so much unknown at that moment. But for us, South Africa handled everything beautifully. Everyone wore masks, everybody stayed sanitized, and it dissipated very quickly. So that was huge. And the second, when you're shooting a film like this with a scope, you need a lot of background. With the stunts, you have people fighting face to face. How could we still do that safely, keep our actors safe, keep the background safe? And so we had to cut down the numbers significantly. That was tough, to have to switch my mindset of where the camera can go, to hide the fact that instead of having 300, I've got 150. And just having tricks of, okay, let's bubble all the actors in a hotel that are going to be face to face with the actors. But we had to keep everyone safe.
Because one of the film's strongest themes is that of mentorship and of training the next level. The next generation, and that generation kind of living up to the expectations of their teachers. And I'm just curious if that happened to be the vibe on set when working with someone like Viola, whether you consider her a mentor and wanted to almost act to make her proud.
Viola is absolutely a mentor, even when she doesn't realize she's being one. She doesn't, position herself as that as well. She's not somebody who forces that upon you or imposes this sense of leadership. She just is. Right. And actually, much of her leadership comes through her compassion and her gentle side and her maternal side, somebody who's always encouraging us to be ourselves, to be authentic, to listen to ourselves, to engage with our vulnerability as well, which isn't an easy thing to do as a Black person, as a Black woman, as an actor as well. I think there's lots that's expected of us in terms of, the role that we should fulfill and the way that we should, the image that we should project outwards of how we're feeling, how we are. And Viola was, instrumental in supporting us through that. And she's also really funny. And that's massive when you're looking at somebody who you've looked up to and you're just like, I just hope they're really nice. And then she's jokes. And you're like, it's just easy, man. Yeah. So love Viola, man.
it's literally a case of I'm learning from her, just from her existing. Just because of who she is as a person. I learned from Sheila, I learned from Lashana, I learned from every single person who was on set, because they all had something to give. From Polly, the DOP, Gina, the director. Viola has been with me since, pre-production training, where we were fighting, struggling, sweating, crying together, muscles aching. And it was just her humanity that I felt most drawn to, and that made me feel safe enough to be able to take the risks that I did with Nawi in the moment.
Nawi is an incredible character. Who can I find to embody her? Underground hadn't come out yet. I just knew that Barry, who I trust implicitly, had cast this young woman, Thuso, and she auditioned. It was over Zoom. And the moment her face popped up on my screen, I just cared about her. And I kind of like, is this her? And then she started to read. Thuso is an absolute generational talent. She is that good. And knowing I needed someone who could go toe-to-toe with Viola Davis, I believed her immediately. Then I needed her to meet with Viola, and that conversation between those two was magical. And Viola after said, I don't even know her, but I feel maternal towards her. And then the last step, though, was Thuso had never done anything athletic in her life, and I needed her to meet with Danny Hernandez, our stunt and fight coordinator. So we put her through some paces for about an hour. It was supposed to be an hour, and it ended up being 2 hours because she didn't want to stop. And when we saw that mentality of wanting to be great, wanting to put in the work, I said, I can trust her. She had enough that we could build on. And Thuso, from the moment she got cast in April, started training in May, all the way through the following March, 6 days a week, 2 times a day. It was incredible, her work ethic, and she's incredible in the movie.
Lashana, the fight choreography obviously is insane. There's a moment in the middle of the battle where Viola blocks a bullet with her sword, and then you hand her another one.
Yeah.
That session is mad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's so badass. Can you talk about actually filming that moment?
That's funny. That moment was a blur for me. Because firstly, me and Viola Davis are just casually walking through a battle, and she gets disarmed, and I'm like, don't worry about it, I got you. That's insane to even think about. I mean, like Sheila was saying, like you watch people that you admire for so long, and you're like, gosh, I really hope I get the opportunity to work with them. And then you have these really special moments that you share with them on screen that you could never conjure up on your own. And I'm so glad that Gina and our stunt coordinator, Danny Hernandez, were able to carve out these moments for these characters that showed their character within the choreography. That was really important. And even the fact that she's doing it, the fact that she is blocking a bullet with her machete is insane. And how Azogi is able to think so quickly and protect her general in the way that she does, and then go off and have their own individual fights, and then come back, and then
Disarmed him and did that.
and then the
I call that the ready for war. That's what I call it. It's the ready for war.
I'll take it. Yeah. All of it, man. Amongst all the chaos, like you mentioned, there's so much going on all the time. Actors, editors make it look very easy when we're able to make moments come by really fast. But that took a lot of studying, actually. We rehearsed it, and then we got on set and had to change a lot of things. And there was a lot of switching out, and how's the angle gonna work, and how do I even feel doing that quickly. I've never put a machete up straight like that and given it to someone. That's not a move that Azogi does anywhere else. So I feel, I feel really honored to have been able to share that moment with her.
Well, with me, I'm over 50, so I said, make this ground smooth so I don't trip over these rocks. And then when, when the bullet came at me, I was the first time, I just ducked. I'm not gonna lie. I think we had so many takes where I just ducked and I just left that sword right on that field. I said, I need a break. I love the battle scene. I love taking down the dudes. I'm not gonna lie. I love taking down the dudes.
Special shout out to Danny Hernandez.
Danny Hernandez, yes. Janelle Stevens.
Yeah. Brilliant mind, beautiful choreographer.
Yes.
Always made us feel safe. we look cool, we look badass, we look like we're taking risks, but we're always safe.
Yes.
It's just the thing with me. I know as me as a moviegoer, when I sit down in that seat and the lights go down, I just want to be enveloped and I just want to start, and I want people to forget that you're watching a movie, and that I hope that you're just enveloped and feel like you're watching real life. And for me, starting with credits and the song and all that, I feel kind of takes you out of that for a moment. Like, oh, I'm watching a movie. I just want you to go.
John, I'm out of time, but I love you also. But I had these two. I had to ask them. So
Hey,
have a
man, good
wonderful
questions,
day, guys. I
mate.
appreciate it.
I wanted to know the answer to that as well.
Thank you so much.
I'm glad.
Bye, guys. Appreciate your time.